Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your host, Kate, and joining me this week is Kestrel.
Hey, I'm still first.
And Kane.
I'm here.
And DJ.
Hello.
And joining us this week is Skyler.
Hey.
And we are here this week and to do the Spring 2020 anime wrap-up. But first, as always, we should see if there's any news on the docket for news.
News for news. Yeah, so all of my news is over 2 weeks old at this point. And as usual, apparently, we have to start off with someone dying, so that's great. This time, it is the composer and pianist of Avant-Garde Eyes, who did the theme song arrangement for theme songs of Clannad After Story, Angel Beats, Charlotte, and Gunslinger Girl.
Not all the key stuff,
yeah.
A lot of key stuff.
Yeah, basically all the theme songs that were composed by Jun Maeda and performed by Leah, this duo did the arrangement for, and they were also responsible for composing a lot of the background music for both Angel Beats and Charlotte. So, yeah, she was the composer and pianist of the duo, and she was 48 years old. So, very unfortunate.
Way too young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know
that
a lot
one,
about
that one
her,
sucks.
But, yeah, but sounds like it sucks real bad. Very young.
Yeah.
She had a very... They had a unique sound that nobody else really could, I guess, recreate. I don't know. There's a certain feeling that comes with the Avant-Garde songs that's just like, yo, I feel like you're transporting me back in time right now, and it's weird, but that sucks.
Yeah.
What shows or movies did they work on?
Mostly key stuff, so Angel Beats, Charlotte, Clannad. I think it was just After Story, though.
Yeah. And also...
and then, like, a couple other things.
Gunslinger Girl, the second season.
Oh, I've seen that. And I've seen Angel Beats. It's just been such a long time, unfortunately. I can't really remember, but I remember liking the music, so...
Yeah. The same.
Yeah, I just rewatched Clannad After Story like a month ago, and that's opening is still one of my favorite songs.
It's so good. I loved the opening to Charlotte as well.
Yeah, that was an interesting song.
It was so good and so weird.
Yeah.
It had like the same mood as the After Story opening.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a lot less sentimental because we do not have nearly as much attachment to the characters in Charlotte. But it was like there was the one part of the opening where it's like it feels like the one part of the After Story opening.
Yeah, that's true.
Where it's just like everything slows down but also speeds up at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah, and of course, what's it called? My Soul Your Beats. Do I have the order right there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, that's an extremely iconic opening.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's like the first, like, 4 notes.
Mm-hmm. So recognizable.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully this trend does not continue.
Yeah, let's hope nobody dies in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Next piece of news. So The Promised Neverland ended. That was a thing that happened kind of suddenly. It was kind of in its last arc for a while, but I don't think anyone really expected, like, the week before that it would be ending the next week. But anyway, that ended, and right around the same time, it was announced that it's getting a live-action adaptation by Amazon.
Oh.
Yep.
I did not hear about this.
Yeah.
Near that one.
So, this is coming from Masi Oka, who is one of the lead actors in Heroes. Rodney Rothman, who was one of the writers and directors of Spider-Man: The Spider-Verse, which is a fucking great movie. Virgo Entertainment, who's had a lot of credits, big production house. One of them, though, is the Netflix live-action adaptation of Death Note, so there you go. And also Fox's television studios, along with Amazon's television studios. So as usual, will it actually get made? I don't know.
This one doesn't sound like it could be inherently horrible by just existing, though. Like, I feel like there's a way to pull this show off. Will they do it? No, but it's possible.
This is one that's really dependent on really good child actors.
Exactly.
And there aren't a lot of those.
I feel like we were just talking about, what's the other anime adaptation that's supposed to come out that needs, like, young children? Because we were talking about how it's going to be like the Stranger Things kid or whatever. I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, crap. What was that? Oh, no, I can't remember either.
I have no idea. I don't keep track of the live action stuff. I hear it and then I immediately forget it. That is my process for these things.
Which is why.
That's probably the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we hear anything else about it, it'll be in 10 years. And all of the child actors today will be adults.
Or they'll get adults to play children.
Oh, man, that makes me think of, like, 90210. When
I was
like,
just thinking
30-year-old
90210 when I was talking about
Yeah.
it.
Those are like...
If Scarlett Johansson could play Motoko Kusanagi.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
When you're talking about a show with, like, teenagers, right? These are, like, young children, like 10-year-olds.
Yeah, 90210 was about a 30-year-old trying to look like they were 17.
Which, I mean, you can sell that easier than, like, anyone over the age of 15 playing a 10-year-old.
I think there's probably a lot of good kid actors out there. It's just they're not going to be anybody you ever heard of because they will be, recruited for that one thing. Like, go look up, like, any kind of random, like, indie movie where a director has a bunch of kids, and there's probably a lot of great kid actors out there and you just have no idea who the hell they are. And will these people go out and find those perfect kid actors? Probably not.
And these people probably won't even be involved if it ever makes it past the, pitching stage.
Yeah. I mean, if the live action One Piece is on track to get made, who knows?
I'll believe it when I see it. There's
I wish
the curse.
It wasn't.
The curse will always stop it.
Hey man, there's a pandemic. It took a pandemic to make sure that wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah, so I don't know if this will happen. There's a lot of those out there.
What's next?
Next piece of news. Remember Shaman King?
Yeah, that was big at like my fucking school book fairs and shit.
Right? Yeah.
A million years ago.
Yeah,
I watched in like elementary school and middle school.
Yeah.
I feel like that was on WB.
That was on Foxbox / 4Kids TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah, Foxbox makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it on my basic ass cable connection.
Yeah, that was, I think, one of the launch titles on the American Shonen Jump magazine, and then the 4Kids version of the anime came onto the Foxbox not long after that. So it was pretty big at the launch of the whole Shonen Jump thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that had an anime that was 20 years ago in Japan, or 2001, and now they are giving it a new anime adaptation for April of 2021, tentatively.
Why?
Well, Kate, it didn't get an ending, so there's that. And also, it's been 20 years, so I think those are both legitimate reasons to reboot it.
Yeah, it didn't get an ending because wasn't it canceled? Like, out of the magazine?
So, the manga was canceled, but then it came back and got a proper ending. Why does this idea disgust you so much?
I don't know, it's just odd. It's like failing upward or something.
Yeah. Just why would they dig up a third tier shonen from 20 years ago who to give a new anime to?
I mean, it only got its manga ending like relatively recently, I believe, and also it was pretty good. It wasn't. It was a lot better than a lot of the shit that gets adaptations. Like, it's a lot better than your Black Clovers.
Oh, it's another
Yeah, Shaman King was decent. It got a shitty 4Kids dub, but other than that, it was pretty good. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, rebooted with 20 years of newer technology. hopefully they draw it.
That shit's not getting drawn.
No, I feel like Shonen Jump shows never get CG adaptations, so I'm not too worried about that.
No, it'll be animated by where are they always, the Philippines or whatever, the studio that Toy ever ships their cheapest shit out to.
Yeah, I think the original was maybe Zebek, either Sunrise or Zebek. Yeah, most of the Shonen Jump stuff. Although, granted, I should point out, since it got canceled from Shonen Jump, the creator shopped it over to Kodansha, so now they have the rights instead of Shueisha.
Weird.
Yeah.
It was Zebek.
It was Zebek, okay.
Yeah.
Which doesn't exist anymore, I believe, or it might be part of Sunrise now. Anyway, most of the Shonen Jump stuff, for a while, was either going to Toei or Pierrot, but a lot of it these days are going to, real high-profile studios and getting really high-quality adaptations that don't need to, run constantly for 10 years. So hopefully the treatment applies here, since it's a complete story, and they can just start fresh. Don't have to have any filler, don't have to, drag it out any longer than it needs to be. So I'm optimistic.
What a weird history that thing exists.
It does have a very weird history, because, it got canceled, came back, ended, then he did, a sequel, and then I can't remember when it moved over to Kodansha, but at some point it moved over to Kodansha, and now he's writing, another sequel, and I think that's still ongoing, and there are some spin-offs or some shit. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's not unheard of that some series that do jump publishers, and, Battle Angel Alita did that, but it's always strange when it happens.
Yeah, I feel like I never hear about, Weekly Shonen Jump series leaving Shueisha. It's kind of unusual for them to be canceled and then brought back, period.
Yeah, there's a lot unusual about this.
Yeah. I mean, they have such high standards for what gets into Jump.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably don't take on anything that has any risk of being canceled most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, especially now that we're pretty much getting all the new Jump series as they come out, it's easy to see how many series, don't cut it past the first, volume or two.
Yeah.
But for them to come back after is pretty rare.
Yeah, as you were saying that, it reminded me of, I guess, the new-ish, or at least at the time, the new project by the person who wrote Kuroko no Basket, the one about golf. It made it 3 chapters.
Really?
Granted, it sucked. So, yeah, but it made 3 chapters.
Maybe 3 volumes. I remember that being in there for a little bit.
I don't know if it's by volumes, but at least there's only 3 of whatever you can read.
That must be volumes.
And it's about a guy who can golf, and then there's a time skip, and then he's really good, but there's no explanation about anything.
Yeah, that was 7 volumes, so that's pretty decent for a shit tier Shonen Jump series.
It was not very good, at least I thought. I was like, I don't understand anyone's motivations. I don't get how he gets so good when all he's doing is just gripping fucking printer paper like a golf club.
Yeah, and he was literally just a robot in personality, and that was the name of the series.
Yeah, it was called Robots. I can't remember what it was called. Yeah,
Here's your golf manga, Robot X Laser Beam.
Yeah, that's it. And I was like, oh, it's by the person who did Kuroko's Basket. This should be pretty good. And then I was reading it, and I was like, this sucks.
Everyone's favorite down-to-earth golf manga, Robot X Laser Beam.
Just wondering why they thought a golf manga would be a good idea.
I guess they figured, this guy had a very successful sports manga before. Let's give him another shot.
I think a golf manga can be...
exactly...
A golf manga can be fine if they can do very successful, sports manga and shows based off of other, very kind of not exciting things. There are several baseball ones. I'm a baseball fan, and baseball only gets so exciting before you have to start switching shit into God mode. Which is what this golf manga did almost immediately.
Not as God mode as Kuroko, though, where it's just straight
not
up
as
Super
God mode as
Saiyans.
Kuroko. And not as God mode as like Prince of Tennis, where
Yeah.
you have people hitting shots that cause the other player to see the evolution of the planet.
Is that actually a thing that happens?
Yeah, one of the
Oh
characters
my
hits a
God.
drop shot, which is just a shot that goes a very short distance and then doesn't really bounce. He hits such a good drop shot that his opponent sees the extinction of the dinosaurs. It's fucking
As one
nuts. It's absolutely insane. But, I mean, a golf thing could be good. There was a pretty successful golf manga and anime quite a long time ago called, I think, Dondo, about a kid who
yeah.
plays golf to try and find his, like, long-lost mother, I think, one of his parents. And he was playing baseball at first, and then he got good at golf, and then he was using that as an outlet to get famous enough to find his parents. And that had some Dragon Ball Z-esque things going on with it. But it's
See, it
possible.
sounded good until like that part.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, that sounds like a nice realistic character drama.
it
And then you're
isn't.
like, and Dragon Ball Z.
It isn't.
Okay,
You
never mind.
you have people doing like golf shots where they hit a shot in the middle of a fucking tornado, and the ball comes out perfectly on the other side, like they planned the whole thing. So there's definitely some Dragon Ball Z elements to it. I think it's also pretty old. I want to say early 2000s, maybe.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
think
art style, the art style's pretty dated.
Yeah, it looks pretty 90s to early 2000s.
Yeah, but that was all right.
Yeah, there's a
But,
fine
yeah.
art to ridiculous over-the-top sports anime.
You can't start with the Dragon Ball Z shit. You got to kind of gently roll into it. If I see any sports show starting the Dragon Ball Z shit right away, then I know that they have no idea like how they're going to do any sort of character development.
Mhm.
We were talking about Shonen Jump.
Anyway,
Jump.
yeah, so that's Shaman King. It's coming back next spring, hopefully, and I'm looking forward to it. That's all I got for news.
All right. Cool. So, the spring 2020 anime season, such as it was, has come to a close. And everybody's lists are actually, you long series people that have a million shows you're watching every season, these are short lists, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we didn't really have much to work
yeah,
with.
exactly.
Yeah, a lot of the big stuff got canceled.
Yep. Even
Well, they're delayed. I mean.
yeah, ongoing shows like One Piece and Conan were both off all season. And not
Hey,
much
the only
else.
thing that would finally put a pause to the One Piece broadcast schedule.
Yep, what it takes.
It's coming back, I think, this weekend though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Are like the shows that are supposed to air next season, are they actually going to air, or are we just like hoping that they air?
I think we're hoping that
Yeah.
they air.
Ugh.
I
Nothing.
don't know what the
I
status
can't
of
handle
that is
another
anymore.
season of this.
Nothing is definite at this point. Like,
Great.
if the last episode of Kaguya-sama doesn't air in 2 days, I won't be surprised.
Oh no! Just delay the last episode.
Yeah.
Episode 11, though, I'm cool with it ending there.
Oh,
That
it
was
was
fucking
so good,
awesome.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's probably the best episode so far.
Yeah.
I think this season was actually for me a blessing in disguise because I could catch up on a lot of stuff that I keep saying I'm gonna watch, and then I don't because I keep getting what's it called, FOMO about shows.
hmm
Like, well, if I know this show's really good, and I want to watch it, but what if there's a new show that comes out that's just as good, and then that cycle just repeats itself over and over and over again, even if the shows that are coming out suck.
Yeah.
So this season was kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yep, no
and
new shows.
personally, I haven't even bothered to look at what's supposed to be airing yet. I'm looking at it right now to see if there's anything I'd be excited about in the first place.
It's like
Two
most,
shows I was looking most forward to this season
Yeah, most-
are still supposedly coming out next season.
most of next season
Yeah.
is just spring 2020 take 2. We'll try this
Ah.
again.
Yeah, there's second season of Fire Force.
Yep.
There's a Decadence. That could be good.
If I have to wait
Zero.
an extra 4 months for Origairu Season 3, I'm going to throw up. I can't wait anymore. It's been like 86 years.
Roughly, yeah.
No, there's only like 17 shows airing next season.
That's not surprising. And a lot of it is stuff that was
Yeah.
supposed to air this season.
Yeah.
Wacky Racers is coming back. That's going to be great.
I remember when this season like started or was about to start, animators on Twitter were like, "Yeah, guys, don't expect there to be a summer season." So, if anything, 17 shows is good.
I'll have like
Yeah.
4 to watch. I think I counted. Yeah, it looks like 4.
Yeah. God of High School is supposed to be good.
Yeah, that's another Crunchyroll adaptation of a manhwa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could be any show ever created.
What?
I said that title sounds like it could be literally any anime
Yeah.
ever created.
Yeah, and the first line of the synopsis sounds like it also could be any shonen anime that's ever been created.
Oh, Jin Mori has proclaimed himself the strongest high schooler. Oh, man. I mean, I'm in.
Fighting tournament to seek out the best fighter among all high school students.
Jesus
Korea.
Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah. I love a good tournament style kind of deal, so I'll probably
It literally
watch it.
starts in the middle of a tournament, though. Like, that's not... I feel like that's something you gotta work up toward. You can't just
Well-
jump right to the tournament arc. That's just giving up.
Maybe they're going to do it like Quentin Tarantino style. They're going to start in the middle of the tournament and then jump back before and then finish the tournament later.
That could be.
And
Like, maybe
media
that's how they're
res, or whatever it's pronounced as. I don't know if there's a weird French pronunciation to it. But
No,
that's
you
like
got
a
it.
cool trope.
It's in
Yeah.
media
Is it?
res.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I wasn't sure if it was like on Madia Ra or some bullshit.
No, you got it. You got it right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and whoever wins gets a wish granted. Oh. He has to.
Fate Stay High School.
Man, I hope there's a smile that he has to protect. That'll fucking make my day. It says action, adventure, comedy, fantasy, martial arts on my thing here. It doesn't say ecchi anywhere, so that's a strike against it. But I'll give that a
what's even
shot.
the
Why
point?
not? Well, why don't we get started talking about the shows that we did watch for spring? Yes.
Yes,
Speaking
yes.
of manhwa adaptations, there's Tower of God.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, how'd that
segue.
turn out?
I really
That's
like it.
Because I wasn't following it, but I saw some cryptic tweet that somebody made about the ending not being great.
It wasn't.
It very much needs a season 2.
Oh yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and I mean,
I mean,
this is
it's-
like a super long-running series, right? So we kind of always knew that one core wasn't going to cut it.
Isn't
Yeah,
it
the
like
long-
300 plus chapters
I
right
think
now?
so, yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on since like 2010.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit!
That is longer than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I mean,
Kestrel, you gave it
how-
a B. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah,
I
like,
don't do
I-
letter grades on things, but I liked it.
I had heard...
I just don't think Rachel is very good.
I had heard so much hype leading up to it for so many years, and like I can definitely see where the potential lies, but it's just such a small taste of what the series has to offer. And this, at least what we've gotten so far, reminds me so much of the first arc of Hunter x Hunter, and that obviously turned into a masterpiece. So not that I necessarily think it's going to follow that kind of trajectory, but it's just another example of you can't really judge the entire story by these 13 episodes.
Yeah, you can really tell that the creator took a lot of influence from shonen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny, both this and the one we were just talking about next season, they're Korean series, but it seems like they're just trying so hard to be as Japanese shonen as possible.
Yeah, I mean, at least for Tower of God, it did that pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
so too.
Yeah, it was a decent show.
I also
So
like the
does
art
Zoro
style in
cameo.
general. Like, I enjoyed the kind of how everyone sort of looks like a rough sketch at times.
Yeah, kind of
Like,
dull
it isn't
outlines.
very like hard lines on people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fit the mood, I think.
Yeah, it kind of bothered me at first, but I got used to it, and I thought it looked pretty good going forward.
Yeah, that soundtrack was fantastic.
Yeah, my boy Kevin Penkin.
And
Mhm.
Gator Kun is the best character. Especially
There
when
is a
Gator-kun
Gator-kun?
gets shrunken into a mini Gator-kun.
I found him a little annoying at times. I don't know if
Oh,
I
I
have
like
quite
every
as
second
much
that he
patience.
was on screen.
Yeah, I don't have
He
quite as
kinda
much
grew on
patience
me.
as you do, I guess, King. I think I enjoyed him less as time went on, so we've got the full range of reactions.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was cute and adorable when he was eating chocolate bars, and that was all I really needed in the first place.
And he calls everyone a turtle.
Yeah, I guess
yeah.
I found his running gags to get tired after a while. Yep, he really likes chocolate, and he really likes calling people turtles, and he's just gonna keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was endearing. I like how he called everyone turtles. It makes me think like he knows their names, he just chooses not to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt kind of the same as Kestrel at first, but he grew on me over time, and I like him.
Especially because he kind of like embraced the two Kun and Bam eventually. He wasn't just always kind of like mean and standoffish. Like eventually they kind of grow on him even though he doesn't really admit it or anything like that.
He's a tsundere.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's a tsundere alligator, for God's sake.
I
That's
am
what makes him
perfectly
the
okay
best.
with that.
Yeah, that's what makes him the best. Yeah, everything was good. I can't say what happened in the end like surprised me. Like I knew that shit was coming. But
And I had heard webcomic fans hate Rachel.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, it
I don't
certainly
really
makes
like
sense.
her either. Like I don't know if it's just a kind of a misfire by the show creators to try and like humanize her with that last episode, bro. I was like, I just don't fucking get your motivation behind this. It seems like the easiest choice to do the opposite of what you did.
Yeah, I feel like the final episode, they can't have been expecting that to make anyone like her.
No fucking way.
Because it was just all like, yep, this is the worst choice you could have possibly taken. It was entirely selfish, and you betrayed everyone's trust, and there has been no repercussions yet.
Also, her
Yeah,
reasoning is just super kind of nebulous. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see the sky. Cool and great. Like, is that literally what you want? Or what are we talking about here that you're willing to, go to such great lengths to fucking do? Not to mention her, like, staring up at the sky and then doing, like, an evil maniacal laugh. I was like, ugh, no thanks.
I like the way she was written. Don't like her, obviously,
Yeah.
but I like her as a character, not as a person.
Yeah.
She's cute. I just looked her up. I like her.
It's just hard to leave it off at that point because, there's no comeuppance, there's no justice. It's just like, man, this is super, unsatisfying.
And I'm willing to give it a chance because it's almost guaranteed to get another season.
Right.
Way too popular not to.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep watching it.
I'm looking forward
I
to
am
it.
surprised that Kun wasn't able to, like, sniff all this shit out because he seems to know everything all the time.
Right, I was expecting
That's
the
what I
same
was
thing. Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
seemed duped by her as well, which kind of feels a little off character because he's
Well-
naturally kind of been skeptical of people.
He kind of alluded to that at the very end.
And he might figure it out later on.
Yeah. He might not know the
Yeah.
details, but he kind of seemed like he knew the deal.
It
I couldn't
seemed
tell
like
if he was saying that because he suspected something or he's just mad at what happened and feels that she doesn't deserve to be there based off of the fact that, like, what he knows about her, not that he thinks any foul play has happened.
Just because he always knows everything, I just assumed that was the case, that he was skeptical.
Right.
everything always goes exactly as he planned.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what his clone is up to. Kun 2.
Mhm.
Electric Boogaloo.
Because I'm assuming they're related in some way, shape, or form. They look almost exactly the same, sans a haircut.
Yeah.
And I think all these webtoons, they're like available in English on the website and always have been, but I don't think any of them have physical releases. So I'm hoping that some of these big Crunchyroll adaptations give them physical releases, because I'd like to, start buying these and check them out that way. I'd always heard so much about the Tower of God manhwa and knew that it was available, but I just don't really like reading online if I don't have to, so I was hoping we'd get some sort of physical release, but I think so far nothing's happened.
Well, I think the issue is Crunchyroll doesn't have the distribution network to do physical releases that often.
Yeah, I don't mean from Crunchyroll. I just mean a lot of times when things get big anime adaptations, the manga will get licensed if it wasn't already.
Yeah, it's funny. Yen used to actually release a lot of manhwa, and they don't do as much anymore.
Maybe it didn't sell.
It probably didn't, but there was a point back in the day where maybe they'll dip their toes back into it again now that there's popularity involved.
Right, did any of the ones they release have big anime adaptations or anything?
No.
Right, so I think there would be a lot more motivation now. It's like the light novel market before, big booms of 2006 and 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was very early on, they were, both Yen and Dark Horse used to release a considerable amount of manhwa, and they just don't anymore. So.
And now it seems like we're getting more and more adaptations of manhwa.
Yeah, it seems like Crunchyroll in particular have a big partnership with Webtoon for their originals.
Yeah, co-producing it with Webtoon, so
yeah,
could be they have more planned down the line.
Yeah, probably, because, basically this was their first, real full Crunchyroll original. They've been on the production committee for a lot of things over the years, but this is, super heavily Crunchyroll branded. And then their next season is another Webtoon. So I would imagine they'll keep the partnership going as long as it's successful.
Yeah, if God of High School is anywhere close to Tower of God, it's going to be successful.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one before Crunchyroll's announcement, whereas I had heard of Tower of God all the time for years. So I'm not sure if it'll be quite as big, but it's a Mabo production, so it should be a pretty good adaptation.
Yeah.
I have a question about the ending. I'm gonna say spoiler alert here, because I don't think we've spoiled anything quite yet, so I'm just gonna tag it right here at 33 minutes, 20 seconds approximately. So, was the original call for the tower to Bam, and then Rachel took it from him, and now they're both irregulars? I was a little confused by that. Because the bunny rabbit guy, says it wasn't meant for you. So was it meant for Bam, and then she took it, and then Bam forced the gate back open to come in, thus making them both irregulars? What?
I'm not sure.
How did that
Yeah,
work?
I'm not entirely sure either. That sounds like an accurate reading.
Okay, because that's what I thought, but I couldn't really tell. Because once he said this wasn't meant for you, I was like, oh, it was meant for Bam. But then she took it, and then he forced it back open. So I guess Bam is now just an irregular because he missed his ticket time, in a sense, rather than because he was never supposed to be there in the first place, which kind of sounds like when an irregular is at least textbook supposed to be, like someone who got in that was never supposed to be there.
Yeah. Now, I can see that confusion, but I feel like your explanation makes the most sense.
I'm sure they'll explain it more clearly if and when we get another season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of stuff that needs explained anyway, just in general, about how the tower works, who's in charge of who, how the power works. Is there like a weird proxy war between Bunny Guy and the princess with the red ribbon? I can't remember, because she's not really in it too much except for the very beginning and the end.
Yuri?
Yeah, because the bunny dude just kind of does whatever the fuck he wants. So I'm just sort of like, what's everyone's relationships, and how does the hierarchy of this tower thing work? Like, where does the test administrator guy kind of sit in sort of who's in charge of what shit around here?
Yeah, it's definitely a very deliberately opaque story.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that, though.
Yeah, I think it works. It's very atmospheric, so it all fits together pretty well.
Yeah, like, I don't need it, like, spoon-fed to me or anything. I'm just curious so I can kind of grasp it a little bit better, rather than just a blanket, well, everybody except the people taking the tests have authority.
Mhm.
But then whose
Yeah.
authority outranks whose is what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious as well.
I'm sure they'll explain it more later.
Yeah.
The feeling I get about a lot of the world building in it.
Mhm.
They'll explain more later.
Yeah, it definitely drops you into just this, like, completely foreign world, and then doesn't explain a whole lot. Just kind of lets you enjoy little shonen antics.
Indeed.
Entertaining enough to work.
Yep.
For sure.
Never bothered to look up all this webtoon nonsense.
Mhm.
Anybody can just throw shit up on this website.
It's kind of cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, maybe I should get in on this.
The next Crunchyroll original anime will be an adaptation of Kate O'Neill's whatever the fuck. Put God in the title.
Whatever the fuck would be appropriate. Yeah, I'm like, because I'm clicking through the website and I'm going, some of this stuff looks awfully, and then I'm like, these people have English, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is actually going on this website? And then I clicked on the Creators 101 tab, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like Patreon integration, ad revenue sharing.
It definitely casts a wide fishing net for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Kate, you should draw the manhwa adaptation of Lessons in Love.
Oh, no. That would be fascinating.
I'm down.
Manhwa is interesting because it's it's read English, U.S. English way, left to right.
Oh, left to right.
Yeah.
I can't read
I'm
even
like, what is
American
that?
comics anymore
I
because
know,
I just
same.
instinctively go the
Same.
other way.
Yup.
Yeah.
I get confused, like, because sometimes I'll open up a comic strip or something on Twitter, and I'll be like, which way is this supposed to be read?
You've got to figure it out first.
Yeah, like, wait, which way does this do these panels
risking
make sense?
reading the
no
last
sense.
panel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do manga like physical volumes still come with that whole like, hey, you're reading it the wrong way
Most
page?
of them, yeah.
Yeah, let me check. Hold on. Let me look.
Do they? I don't feel like any of mine have that.
Maybe it's just like the ones that skew younger.
Yeah, it might be. This doesn't.
I read a lot of
Umineko
just
has
like cute lesbian stuff, and that's not really the thing they market
Umineko,
to young
no.
kids.
Carnival. No, let's see this one. Ugh, I'm just grabbing what I have available, sitting on my desk, which
Yeah,
is
I don't
printing
think my
off as volume
Wodakoi
2.
volumes do anything either
No.
in regards to that.
Yeah, it's like at that
No.
point you're reading a series with otaku in the title. You better fucking know what order to read it in.
That'd
You're
be a
into-
weird place to start
Yeah.
for somebody.
The 3 Yen Press titles I just grabbed did not have it in their books. Viz still doesn't.
Yeah,
have
I
some
was gonna
of their
say
stuff.
maybe it's just Viz or maybe just younger stuff. I don't know.
I think Yen gave up. They're like, fuck it, people know what they're in for. It's like, this is volume 10, you know what you're getting into. If you've made it to the final volumes of Umineko, you are in too deep,
If you make it like an hour into Mineko, you're in too deep.
pretty much.
I say that as someone who has absolutely no experience with Umineko. I just know.
It's a lot of girls running around in their panties and murder.
Yeah, that sounds like a Yukishi 7 thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Umineko is basically what is that? A classic mystery thriller. Then there were 12 or then there were none. Then there were none. It's that.
I don't
all
know
over
Kiss
that.
the
again.
Girls.
Sure.
No, it's definitely not Kiss the Girls. I was just making a vague movie reference.
Could be. You don't know. I don't know because I haven't actually seen that either.
Anyway, what other shows happened this season?
I watched a mediocre show about girls that played baseball.
Sounds like something.
Is
we
that
do.
the one at number 5 on your list?
It's number 5, yeah. I'm still waiting for like the first girls playing baseball show that's also good.
Mhm.
Because I feel like this is like the 5th one that I've tried, and just all of them are very poorly animated, and this one is no exception. In terms of like content, it was fine. It's normal, like fucking the baseball club is gone. Let's get it back together with a bunch of people that have never played baseball before, but were like actually kind of good at baseball. So that's the plot, and then they like get to the fucking nationals and stuff because it's the plot, and it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good at all.
Sounds like the most Mick anime plot ever.
It's every girls playing baseball anime. That's every single one of them that I've watched.
Every schoolgirl's doing anything anime.
Yeah.
Why are all the baseball clubs getting disbanded? All of them.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It's the exact same story. Because the only girls' baseball shows that I know of are Princess Nine, which is
You mean Cinderella 9?
Yeah, sorry, Cinderella 9. Well, I think there's a Princess 9 too, actually.
There probably is.
Yeah.
That sounds like another baseball show.
That sounds like an anime.
Are those really
Cinderella
both-
9 was okay. Cinderella 9 is probably my favorite girls playing baseball show, but it has the exact same plot as the one that I just described.
Yes, Princess Nine is also a baseball show.
Oh god.
Those are both anime about girls playing baseball. Wow.
Yeah, the only one that I have seen with any sort of recency is Taisho High School Girls Baseball. Which, if you want like a comedy kind of thing, that's pretty good. It's also about a girls' baseball. Well, it's about a bunch of girls who want to form a baseball club, but their school is like, no, you're girls, you can't play sports. And of course, they kind of can't in the beginning, but they do learn to play baseball, and some of them actually get pretty good at it. And then at one point, they stalk the streets at night, finding the pitchers for all the boys' teams, and then challenging them to at-bats in the middle of the street.
That sounds cool. That's a fun arc. That's better than anything that happened in Tamiyomi.
That was a really fun arc, because they call their bats, like, dumb samurai sword names and shit.
This sounds solid. I'll add that to my
Yeah.
list of baseball girls anime shows.
Yeah, give that one a shot. It's pretty good. I think it's short, too. I think it's only, like, maybe 12 or 13 episodes, but I could be wrong. I know it's no longer than your standard, like, 24, 25, but I'm pretty sure it's on the short side.
Does Little Busters count as a girls playing baseball anime?
No.
Oh, but that's like a relatively big part of it.
Yeah, but that's like...
There was even a whole mini game about it in the visual novel, and it was fun as hell.
It's a key show. That's what it's about. It's about
Yeah.
key. It's like Clannad isn't about the drama club. It's about key.
It's not? Yeah, I know. I just wanted, like... Because Little Busters is, despite its flaws, still above all of the girls playing baseball shows that I've watched. And I'd
Also-
like to cite one as my favorite.
Also, it has like more dudes in it than most key shows, so it's not just
Yeah,
girls
that's a
playing
lot of
baseball.
dudes.
Like half and half.
In all honesty, the bros were, like, probably my favorite part of Little Busters.
Did you
Yeah, so-
play the visual novel or only watch the anime?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
No, I played the VN.
I imagine that's a lot better.
It's so much better. It's, like, not even close.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And yeah, I didn't play it until after I watched the anime, though.
Mm.
Because I don't think there was any translation out. Because I read the fan translation before it got in official one. And it's, like, I immediately understood everybody's problems with the anime.
Mhm.
So it's very good. One of the best VNs I've played.
Okay, so Taisho Baseball Girls is 12 episodes. It's kind of like an anime version, but with schoolgirls of A League of Their Own.
Yo, Red.
Anyway, and it takes place in 1925.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it takes place in 1925, and it's
I didn't know
about
that
a
part.
bunch of. It's about a bunch
Yeah,
of
it didn't even
schoolgirls-
click in my head.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like, oh, that's like the school name or something.
no, the year 1925, and it takes place at this school where they have a good boys baseball team. I'm reading the back just to remind myself, and like the best player on the team says out loud, like to a bunch of girls, and I guess maybe a local news outlet, that women should just be wives and stay in the kitchen. And they're like, well, we're gonna make a baseball team. We're gonna beat your fucking ass, and that's essentially what the 12 episodes are about.
Hell yeah.
I didn't even realize the Taisho era was still going on then. I thought Showa had started by then.
I would not know very much about that, but I can say you're obviously dumb if you thought that, because this anime says otherwise.
Yeah, apparently.
Didn't we just enter a new era recently?
Yeah, last
Is
year.
is Reiwa the one that we entered, or is that the one that ended?
That's the one we entered.
Ray was the one we
Okay.
entered.
Cool. What ended?
Heisei.
Oh, that's it. Okay, cool. Thank you. They talked about it in Terrace House, and I couldn't remember which one was which.
Yeah, so give that show a shot, DJ. You might find some, and it's only 12 episodes. So
How's the animation quality though? Because I'm looking for something to break the streak of just poorly animated girls' baseball shows.
I honestly cannot remember. I want to tell you that it's not, at the very least, not
Show
bad.
Baseball girls. Which studio did this? Let's see.
I think it's JC Staff.
Okay,
like a
they're
JC Staff show.
okay sometimes. They're
Yeah.
inconsistent.
Their stuff isn't usually awful, though.
Yeah, it's JC Staff. Okay, yeah. This
So.
looks fine.
Excellent. So, where were we?
Well, I was talking about Tamiyomi, but I'm
yeah.
out of things to say about that since it's just another girls playing baseball show. They were very muscly. I like how muscly they made the thighs. There were a lot of thighs in that show. And with that, I'm done.
Yeah, before we move on to the next one, I just want to say I Googled it, and yeah, just the Google images make it look really bad.
Yeah, that's fair. But the thighs.
The thighs, them thighs, though.
Jesus.
So good animation or good thighs? Which
See, that's
one
a
is
tough
it?
You
call.
can't have both.
It's like that triangle: good, fast, and cheap.
Like, look, this.
That's like-
I'm even gonna. Fucking, here you go. It's. The viewers aren't gonna see this, but like they even know. Like the show is acutely aware of how the thighs are the most important part, and so there's just a lot of thigh fan service.
Those are very thick thighs. Those are
Those are the
yeah.
thinnest thighs in the show.
Those are
Yeah,
They have a lot of definition.
they do. They're very. That's what I'm saying. They're very muscly thighs,
Yeah.
and
It
I
also
appreciate
kinda
that.
looks like
They
it kinda
spent
looks
all of
like
their
they took
budget
the
on
same
thighs.
Face. It looks like they took the same face and then mirrored it and changed the eye color.
Yeah, not the girls.
Well, those two are sisters. I think.
That's an angle.
I think. I can't remember.
That's an angle.
Yeah.
She's
Yep.
working out though. Well, I'm sad you didn't enjoy it.
I mean, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it because I knew what I was getting myself into, and I still willingly watched it every week, and I was like, this is fine. But that it's no more than just this is fine. I like girls and I like baseball, so the chances of me not liking a combination of those two things are very slim, and something would have to go horribly wrong.
That reminds me, we're gonna have to talk about baseball sometime, DJ.
Yo, it's coming back.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it right now, but
No.
we'll have to talk about some other
I just
time.
wanted to share my excitement.
I'm also excited, but let's move on to another show. Kestrel, do you want to pick one off your list, or am I supposed to do it for you? Or Kate, you can do it. Doesn't matter.
Oh, let's see. Let's talk about Villainous. Something good to talk about.
Yeah. That show was fun.
Yep.
All
that's
right,
about
now
it.
what?
Yeah.
Wow.
What we were
that it?
expecting, where it just becomes a harem, where the protagonist is the center of the harem, is truer than we could have ever expected. Literally every character is very explicitly in love with her.
Mhm.
Yay.
And she is completely unaware of all of it.
Yeah, which is the only thing that kind of annoys me. Like, Jesus Christ, you spent your life playing otome games, and you can't pick up on any of these hints. Like, God, do we have to follow that trope into the ground that far?
I mean, I was kind of okay with it just because it got funny by the end.
Yeah, it was funny. It's just, I don't know, I just can't take it seriously at all. Also, it's
That's
getting
the
a second
worst
season, which
trope.
is weird, because it's like, it got to the end of the story that it seemed like they were telling.
And I think the light novels are ongoing.
Yeah, light novels never end either. It's like manga.
They very much never end.
Except all the light novels that just ended, apparently.
Yeah, that was weird. A bunch of them are ending this year, but yeah, in general, yeah, a bunch of light novels take forever to get to where they're going.
But, like, this got to where it was going, like, from the beginning. And we're getting another one, so who knows?
Yeah. Maybe she'll even
It-
realize that the girl who said, I love you and want to be with you, is in love with her.
I mean,
Wait, there's a girl that's in love with her too?
like, half the cast
Dude,
is
like-
girls who are in love with her.
Oh man.
There's 3 girls who are in love with her.
Oh, I was so ready to not be interested in this show.
It's a very good show.
Yeah, she has more chemistry with the girls than the guys, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely
I wonder
true.
why.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I gotta agree with
depending
you on
on-
that one, Kestrel. I can't really handle that trope very well.
yeah,
Like that's one I don't particularly like. High School Girl is High Score Girl is kind of the same way, where the main character has these two girls that obviously love him and want to be with him, but he just thinks they want to play video games.
yeah,
That's like every single harem protagonist.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like, dude, they fucking. How else could it be more clear? But he's like, I just want to play video games with them, and they just want to play video games with me.
And like, I get it; it's a harem thing, and it is annoying no matter what. But like in this case, it was all about subverting the otome game formula that she was presented with, and she's very familiar. She should be very savvy with the genre, and she is always looking for like relationship dynamics between the like main character of the actual game and all the other characters. And like in the game, her character has relationships with one of the characters, and they're engaged and shit, and she just never considers for a second as all of them are just explicitly going up to her and being like, I am in love with you.
I wonder what that means.
Yeah. Like literally, it's another one of those tropes, especially in those kind of shows where they're like, I love you. And she's like, oh, I love you too. I love you all. You're such good friends.
Ugh,
Oh, that's
barf.
fucking every single episode of Kimi ni Todoke.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, and it's like they're talking about there being a harem ending to the game. Like, oh, maybe they'll get the harem ending. Oh no, we got the friendship ending. Even though everyone is saying they're in love with me, it's the friendship ending.
Friendship is stupid.
Yeah, like in the final episode, each girl forms a single file line and comes up to her and says, I am in love with you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. That is
Oh,
a
so
good,
it's like
good
you for being my
sequence of
friend.
screenshots.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, so that kind of annoyed me, but overall, it is a very fun show.
There is a reason that the fans have dubbed the show Baccarina.
Yeah,
Because she is incredibly dense.
like the human embodiment of a black hole, dense.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the jokes at her expense where they were like trying to defend her and talking about how great she was, and they just all ended up with like, and she's way too stupid to come up with a plan like that. I enjoy that gag. Backhanded compliments.
Yeah, she couldn't have come up with something this complicated. She's way too dense.
So yeah, it's a fun show. I'll watch the second
It is
season.
fun. It is a fun, cute show, and it goes against the usual isekai nonsense and bullshit.
And it
How
has,
does it go against the usual isekai? Because it sounded pretty normal from what I heard.
Well, I mean,
Her-
doesn't really.
She got
There's no-
reincarnated as the villain from the story.
Yeah, it's like you gotta
I mean-
tweak the premise a little bit at this
Yeah,
point.
it's
but-
like, this time I'm the villain.
Right,
This
yeah.
time I'm a vending machine.
This
This
time
time I'm
I'm
a
a-
spider. It's like,
I'm a
okay,
sword.
how many
Well,
things can
this
you
time
be
I'm a
before
sword.
people start to realize that it doesn't really make much of a difference?
It's true. Like
I heard the
that's
spider one is good.
that's what kind of annoys me is that the slime one was good, so why not? The fact that they start with this premise of like, oh, we're gonna subvert the trope, and then it's immediately like, no, I'm just kidding. It's exactly the same as the rest.
Yeah,
But
you're just
at
a
least-
different thing.
At least this time, there were a lot of canon homosexual feelings. So that's not something you get in a lot of these.
I'm all about canon homosexual feelings. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very upfront about that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool.
Just from the screenshots I posted.
Right, exactly.
Did you
And,
post
like-
lesbian stuff? Hold on.
She,
Ah!
she wasn't even like the most explicit about it. The other two girls basically spent most of their role in the series just talking about how in love they were. And like if you consider one of the characters as two different people, then that's another one. And then the maid kind of fits in there too. Like literally every character in the series, if they have like more than a line of dialogue, they're going to end up in love with this character.
Oh,
which
she's
is a little
cute.
over the top.
I like this girl. She's cute. This show can stay.
Good to
It
see
is
it meet your
cute.
standards.
It's nice. It's low drama. It's like a Jane Austen novel, except for everybody wants the girl. Everybody wants the girl,
Hmm.
and that's what makes it fun. It's just like, oh, we're gonna do this cute like thing.
And it's good comfort food.
Mhm.
It is
Why is she so happy about the friendship ending?
He's always that
because she
happy.
thought she was gonna. She thought she was gonna die.
Yeah, the whole point of the show was that she's the villain and she's cursed to either death or exile. And so she's spent the whole plot trying to subvert it. Which is why
She was basically
it's weird that there's
Blonde.
another season, because they got to the end of that plot.
Yeah, the blonde is the heroine from the visual novel.
Yeah. I was a little
Oh, so
disappointed.
these all aren't like henchmen and shit.
No.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, it's her and like the good characters in the cast. And she has to, use her knowledge of the game to befriend them all and avoid her doom. But the only real villains are like just little one-off characters, and then there's like a twist at the end. But everyone ends up friends, and everyone ends up in love.
Yeah.
It's the best sort of, comfort food for this chaotic, stupid world that we're living in right now.
Mhm.
Like just what you just sometimes you just want that everybody's in love with everybody else ending. Because why not?
yeah, but how are the thighs? What's the thigh
I don't know,
rating?
everybody's in dress. Everybody's in dresses, so
I mean,
Pass.
yeah. There are no thighs.
There's
What's the point?
Sexy ankle action.
Ankles.
I was a
I'm
little
just-
disappointed that the protagonist from the visual novel was just like a normal character and not just a complete blank slate. That would have been fun.
Yeah, oh my god, that would have been weird.
That's how Princess Connect Redive was, that other show that came out this season that I dropped. It's like the protag from the mobile game was like, he just didn't even speak. He was just a fucking mindless zombie.
Yeah. I watched an episode and it just wasn't funny enough to keep me going.
Yeah, it's like the immature comedy that I wouldn't be able to handle for an entire show. But it looked okay. Like, animation was fine. Character designs are good.
Yeah, it just didn't have quite the same bite as Konosuba, which is what I was kind of hoping for.
There aren't many things that do. So
True.
that's like the isekai in my book.
Konosuba doesn't fit in a category of anime. It fits in a category that includes It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's the reason why cinema was created.
That's
So-
also true.
Hmm.
It is the pinnacle of anime,
Of cinema.
of entertainment.
Kazuma is the best protagonist.
Hi, Cosmo this.
It's the best. I used that line yesterday in conversation.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's about
so
all there is to say about this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now what?
Um,
Who wants
I'll,
to pick the next thing?
I'll talk about a show that I watched that I normally just shit on constantly, but now I have to sort of walk a little bit of that back. Castro and I were talking about it a little bit in fucking, I guess, Slack or so.
Slack
And
or
he said
so.
Kingdom did the same thing. But I want to talk about this third season of Baki and also the second season, which I did watch. So it's still like grotesque and violent, and everyone's faces are just super duper fucked up. But they did something weird for season 2 and season 3, and most of the time it's what I shit on, which was the incredibly horrible CGI that was used in season 1, like probably some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. But for season 2 and season 3, they just completely abandoned it. So there's no longer any CGI involved, which is interesting because normally I'm used to seeing the shows do it the opposite way, where it's just gradually more and more CGI for some reason. But rather than doing that, they just kind of flipped the script and got rid of all of it. So now it's actually pretty decent. Like, you gotta have a good stomach for it, because A, all the muscles are grotesque, but then also so is the violence that destroys the muscles. So it can get pretty like nasty at times, and unfortunately it's kind of like a pick your poison, in that getting rid of the CGI that was used in season 1 has been replaced with a lot of like very cheap cop-outs for animation that a lot of action shows will use if the budget's not very high, or for whatever reason it may be, which is I don't want to say it's like pausing the screen, but rather than showing someone kicking someone, they'll show the beginning of the kick, a freeze frame of the impact, and then someone falling away after the kick. Like, not the full animation of a kick or a punch.
Mm.
So, like, lots of kind of cheap cop-outs for animation, which is leagues better than CGI. Like, let me make that clear. Like, I'll take that any day over
CGI.
very poor CGI. I'll take the shortcuts over. But it was actually pretty good. I mean, the third season is mainly just a big tournament that is like China versus everybody. So it's like Muhammad Ali's son shows up. Well, they call him Muhammad Ali, but it's Muhammad
Wink,
Ali.
wink.
Yeah, wink, 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 wink. So he shows up and Baki's there, and they're all taking their shirts off and looking like just absolutely inhuman monsters. And they fight each other and also have soliloquies about their particular style of martial arts and how it's better than anybody else's style of martial arts and stuff. But it's really a pretty kind of fun watch at this point. I know, Kestrel, you had said that you couldn't tell if the show was good or bad based off of what you read, and it's in a weird paradox where it is both good and bad at the same time. And it's really hard to describe unless you're watching it. So I just wanted to walk back how much I shit on it for CGI. There's still plenty to shit on about it, but no longer is it CGI. It's just, has there been another show other than maybe Kingdom that's done it that way, where they regress from CGI? Because I was kind of taken aback by that.
Yeah, I mean,
especially since it's a Netflix show, and it seems like 90% of Netflix shows are CGI based.
they do really like that, like both for licensing and originals. Yeah, I mean, Kingdom obviously came to mind because that was the season until it got postponed like everything else. But it did the exact same thing, where the third season suddenly dropped all the very heavy CGI from the previous ones. But yeah, and the other thing that I had mentioned to you when you were talking about the very cheap animation is like the studio that did Berserk later did a show a few seasons ago called Copcraft, which was all hand-drawn, but it was so cheap, such limited animation. It was all freeze frames and panning and really cheap cop-outs.
Yeah, really
Cop-outs.
crashed after like the first episode or two.
Yeah. Cop-outs, yes. Thank you.
Wasn't Dave Matranga in the dub for that?
Yeah.
That's all I know about the show.
Baki or Copcraft?
Copcraft.
I don't know which one you were talking about.
Yes, he was the lead in Copcraft.
Hey.
Baki, I believe the dub for that has Troy Baker in the lead after like a decade of not doing anime.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's odd. I thought he was too good for us now.
I know, he was.
How much are they paying him?
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Was
just
he
like
bored?
a Studiopolis dub. I don't know.
That's crazy. Good for him. I'm proud of him.
It's funny
Is he
because one of
supposed to
his...
Baki?
Yeah, I think he's Baki.
Huh, weird.
I think
I mean,
like
sure,
one of his...
why not, I guess.
One of his early roles back in his Funimation starting days was like a minor character in the original Baki anime.
He's a lot shorter than I thought he'd be.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. I think it's because like I just envision Troy Baker as Snow from Final Fantasy 13 now. Snow is tall as shit. And so when I actually like saw Troy Baker in real life, and he was wearing like a fucking orange felt jacket when I saw him. Like he was like shorter than me, and it just felt weird.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him, it was like 2009, and I had always like associated him with this big booming voice of God, and he was like this skinny little emo looking kid.
Yeah.
Not a kid, he's a lot older than me, but that was the impression
He was
I got.
a lot smaller than I expected.
Yeah. Because like it was,
It
him, Travis Willingham, were always like together and stuff, and both of them were at that Anime Boston, and Travis Willingham's like this jacked guy like you'd expect. And Troy Baker was, kind of a skinny little emo kid.
Yep. What a guy.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pretty decent names in the Baki cast. I mean, the cast is surprisingly large because these dudes beat the shit out of each other to the point where you think they should die, but they never die. They just, they one piece it. They put a couple bandages on it, and then all of a sudden they're better like 2 days later. But, yeah, there's some pretty big names. You got your Steve Bloom, your Troy Baker, Johnny Young Bosch.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny
Kyle
Young Bosch
Hebert.
is still in everything. Kyle Bear is in a lot of anime. But
Liam O'Brien is in there. I don't know how much he does anymore, period. I don't really follow it.
yeah, Liam, Troy, and Steve are all pretty heavily in video games and American animation. Like, you'll get Steve and Liam in anime once in a while, but certainly not that much anymore.
So it's got a pretty good cast. And yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to see some of the bigger names, if only because there are so many male characters.
Who's the ADR director on that?
I think it's Jamie Simone, the head of
Yeah, it is. It says
Studiopolis.
Jamie. There's actually 4 names, but the first one is Jamie Simone, yeah.
Mhm.
Vic Mignogna was in it, so I'm wondering how they're gonna do that. But
Somebody totally different.
Vic Mignogna's dead, basically.
He
might as well
but
be, yeah.
His lawsuit refuses to die.
Oh, his lawsuit
gonna-
is hilarious.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, he's gonna owe so much money at the end of all this.
I guess if Johnny Young Bosch is already in it, then it probably won't be him, but he has kind of been collecting the Vic Mignogna roles.
you can do both. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, he's
Sure.
he's an actor.
Yeah, just
True.
change your voice entirely.
If Mike Myers
He does
can
have
play literally like Mike Myers 6 times in a movie, I'm sure that Johnny Young Bosch can do it with his voice.
Exactly.
Although he
But
does
yeah.
have a pretty recognizable voice.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're really into like kind of really, I don't want to say heavy action because the action really isn't super animated, but I guess if you just like power violence, and very like muscular men, like super. I don't even know if muscular is the right term anymore.
They're not even human anymore.
Yeah, they're not even human.
They're
I don't even
not.
know how. And there's only one female character really.
Yeah, I remember
So-
being very shocked that was on Crunchyroll's like Best Couples Awards.
Oh, Baki and Kozue.
I assume Baki and the one female character.
Yeah, it's interesting in the sense that their relationship dynamic does have some decent points to it, like the misogyny that a lot of the other characters have, and you would kind of expect from a show like this, where it's a bunch of muscular men trying to prove their manliness by beating the shit out of each other.
Mhm.
He doesn't really share that, and they don't share that between them. He's basically pretty open about it, and he's sensitive to her and things. So it's not a bad like couple and a couple dynamic, and she's able to state her feelings and opinions about just like fighting in general and their constant struggle of trying to figure out who's the strongest and the manliest and how dumb it is. And it isn't just she's being some crow about it. Like she puts in a lot of really good a lot of good examples of why it's, self-destructive and things like that. So they do give her like a decent soapbox to stand on that doesn't just turn into like a shrill, fishwife or whatever.
That's good.
So there is that. It's just that when like Muhammad Ali Jr. shows up, he tries to befriend Baki and then walks up to her and she's like, "You're a woman. Your job is to be a woman." And it's like, okay. So maybe that's why, because their relationship is just so like 180 degrees from the attitude of the entire show in general.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that picture that's Yujiro. That's Baki's dad.
What?
He killed Baki's mom and then abandoned him. And then the next time you see him in the show, he's there to high five Baki because he just banged his girlfriend.
What?
What?
Excuse me?
Yeah, and he's like the strongest, like, I think they call him the strongest creature on Earth. Not even man or person, the strongest entity on the planet.
So he's Kaido. Oh, from One Piece.
Yeah, just much veinier. Just way veinier. Kessler, you got a pretty good, well, everyone's got pretty good grotesque Baki pictures in the chat, so I don't think I need to post anymore, but they get worse.
These are literally not humans. There's no.
This makes JoJo look realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh god.
Yeah, there's a guy named Jack Hama that is fucking super duper gross. Like, if I can find a good picture of Jack Hama, which also is a fucking awesome name to give yourself.
Jack Hama.
I'll find one. Yeah, Jack Hama. But he's big and he takes steroids and like talks about it, which is interesting because nobody else talks about taking steroids. But Jack Hama's like, yeah, dude, I fucking roid up that shit all the time. But at least he's straight about it.
Like, I feel that these, like, illustrations aren't even, like, of people, like, I feel like they're, like, you know, like, skinned frogs you would dissect
They
for
look
an
like
anatomy
actual
class.
monsters.
Yeah, like these things are
Yeah.
from some, what's the horror guy's name?
Junji Ito.
Junji Ito. Some Junji Ito moment.
Yeah.
What's the horror guy's name?
Some
That's
weird-
just who he is. He's the horror guy.
Yeah.
He said that, though, Will knew
Yeah,
exactly
exactly.
what
Oh,
he was talking
absolutely.
about.
But yeah, it looks like some weird-ass body horror.
Well, I think that's what kind of draws people to Baki in general, is that it's just so out of the ordinary and ridiculous that it has its own, like, you can't look away from it.
Mhm.
Like, you want to, but you can't, because they just defy all the rules of character design that you've ever heard of. But then it's so just unabashedly in your face about it that they're not like, they don't try and explain it at all. People are just really, they're just muscular because they is. And that's fucking it. So yeah, the picture I posted, that's Jack Hama having that sweet hourglass figure. But I don't
Wasp
want to,
waste.
I think that's all I have to really say about Baki is just the CGI's gone, so it's much better in that respect, but, you know, don't watch it looking for anything other than muscular dudes just committing horrendous acts of violence against each other.
I mean, does one really need anything else?
No, I don't think so. Baki fills a really weird void in anime in a way.
But is it a void that, like, people would notice would be gone if it was gone?
I mean, I think so, because Baki's been around for a really long time. It isn't a new property.
I mean, you can tell this came from a decade, a very, very long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it has an established enough fan base that the show has 3 seasons now with a 4th, I believe, coming. So people are watching it and people do care.
I
No, I
imagine
don't
it's a
have
lot,
any-
like, more of a thing in Japan than it is here.
Oh, I bet.
The manga started
95, it looks like.
in 91.
Ooh, 91. What am I looking at then?
Probably the original anime adaptation? No, that was early 2000. Yeah, I don't know what you're looking at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the one that preceded Grappler Baki, which is the first one, apparently. Or succeeded, not preceded.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I won't watch it, but I get it.
But look at those thighs, DJ.
That is true.
He
There
does have thighs.
there are thighs, if you can call them that.
It looks like he was stretched out.
Yeah, definitely.
They all look like that.
Like someone just grabbed him around the middle and wrung him out.
Why is their lower body always so much smaller?
That's because everyone's got that beach body.
I mean, look at how stretched out that guy's legs are, I guess Baki's dad. Like, you can't even see the ends of them.
Oh yeah,
They just keep
Yojiro.
going on
and
forever.
And he's smoking.
Yeah.
He's also smoking.
That's like, I am struggling to even understand how his legs are bent in that picture. Like, where are his knees?
That's a good question. I don't
It's
have an
just
answer for
one
you.
giant conglomerate muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not have an answer for you, but yeah, I think we can safely move on now. I think.
We're all horrified. We can move on now.
You guys want to talk about Sing Yesterday?
Sure. Kestrel, why a
Okay.
C plus?
Yeah, I want to hear Kestrel C plus, and I want to hear DJ's A minus.
I have not watched the last episode yet.
Oh,
Keep that in
wow.
mind. Keep that in mind. So I don't know if that is my final grade. Bad things would need to happen in the last episode for me to not like it as much anymore.
I'm gonna say bad things happen in the last episode as part of my C plus.
Okay.
Now, I would not have given it an A minus or whatever prior to that. I would have given it like a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely enough to push it over.
Damn, what the hell happens?
I mean, I think it's both events happening that I'm not fond of, and it just seemed like they rushed like another 12 episodes into that one episode.
I could have sworn that this show was supposed to be 18. Because I could have sworn I saw that like a couple weeks ago.
You're right. I remember seeing that a couple weeks ago.
So maybe like something happened. Yeah.
Pandemic.
I get, like, why not just delay it at that point, though? Like, I don't know. Something probably happened, or that was just, like, the wrong information was online or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting it to be over yet. If I knew it was going to be over, which I didn't know until, like, half an hour before we started recording, I would have went back and finished them. I would have just bitten the bullet. But, yeah, I'm scared of what happens.
So, I mean, what do you like about it? Because maybe it won't disappoint you that much. But probably
I
will.
feel like I like melodramas in general. That's like the quickest way to my heart. Mm-hmm. And I felt like this was very realistic is such a boring word, but it's the one that I always go back to when it talks about things like, or when I talk about things like this, because the central conflict of the show is the characters themselves. They are their biggest obstacles in their life. And I like seeing how different people with different problems sort of work together to overcome their own difficulties. And obviously there's the romance thing too. And the whole love triangle is it shakes things up an extra level. And it's everything about it just felt like something that could happen to me. And so I was able to connect with the characters in the world a lot more.
So I feel like the final episode kind of undermined that to give like a happy ending, I guess.
And as happy as this show is going to get.
Yeah. And I don't know, it just seemed like an abrupt and unearned cop-out, and that the characters were just kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like not really a healthy relationship. It's like a codependency, I guess.
Exactly.
And I feel like what it settled on, like it had been exploring codependencies throughout, and then it kind of switched gears into an even less organic one. So it didn't work for me.
That's worrisome. Okay. Yeah, maybe if it undermines everything that it spent the entire series building up to, that'll definitely change its grade, but I'll have to see for myself. I like what I saw a lot, particularly the fucking Chika Yuzuhara episode. Oh my god, that shit like rocked my world.
Yeah, I'm curious why that was so effective on you.
It was such a...
I thought it was fine.
I loved it. I like her as a character in general, but having something from your past just immediately show up into your life and sort of turn everything on its head for a little while and just make you question the life that you've built up to that point. It's weird. I have a weakness toward bringing up the past in anything. And so when a character whose entire purpose is to do that shows up and is just gone immediately, it turned everything into like a completely different show for 20 minutes, and then it was just over, and I was expected to go back to how things were, and I dwell on things like that, and so that hurt to watch.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think, it explores a lot of unhealthy relationships and coping mechanisms throughout its run. It's just when you're dealing in those themes, it doesn't really work when you end on a note that seems to endorse them and make them seem positive. And that's kind of how I felt this ended up.
I wonder if the manga ends in like the same way. I don't know how long that went on for, but I'm checking now. 11 volumes, 113 chapters. So
yeah, so to put that in 12 episodes?
Yeah. That's... Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea if they... I'm sure they didn't adapt all of that. That's absurd.
No.
But it certainly seemed like, they adapted it at a reasonable to slow pace for most of the run, and then at the very end just shoved a bunch in there to try to get to some sort of ending. So maybe the manga has a more satisfying ending that, I wouldn't have these problems with. But I think this has kind of soured me on it enough that if we got another season, then I probably wouldn't go for it. Because, if you're going to do that, just let it play out at its correct pace and don't suddenly rush a bunch into the last episode.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm not excited to watch the last episode now.
So, Kane, you watched it. What were your thoughts?
I didn't really enjoy the ending either. I'm trying to think of how to put my opinion without spoiling it for DJ at all. But I feel like what the characters involved in the main part of the ending...
I can just mute Discord for a little while, and you can tell me when to come back.
Yeah, let's do that, actually.
Okay. Just type.
Because I feel like I could sum it up without it, but it would sound...
That's fine. Just type when you want me to come back. That's fine.
Okay, so you're going to have to put in the text that you're gone. Okay, it's muted. So I don't like how Shinako and Rikuo basically are like, oh, well, our relationship didn't work. So let's try dating these younger people
right,
instead.
Exactly. Let's try dating these children.
Yeah, let's try dating. So ignoring the age gap difference, which was weird to me the whole time, especially with Shinako and Rue, especially given that Rue's kind of whole purpose for a lot of the story was just a reminder of Shinako's being in love with this fucking dead-ass high school dude, which pissed me off anyway. I don't know. I think I'm not very good at romantic stories, so maybe it's more understandable, but I was like, you're a fucking grown-up now. Like, this is in high school, and you didn't really even have a relationship. You had a crush on him, and he died. You can miss him, but then bar your whole life because you love this high school guy that died. Like, I felt she was being super selfish, like, the fucking whole time. But, yeah, I didn't like how they fucking decided that their relationship was going to work, so they might as well just go to their rebounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Off the bat.
They just compromised and settled for the children who have been weirdly infatuated with them, and they have no real romantic attachment to.
Yeah, especially because between Rikuo and Haru, the whole time, it didn't really seem like he liked her all that much in general.
Yeah, like, not at all. She was just weirdly infatuated.
Yeah, occasionally he would show her some kindness, but it was never really out of his way for the most part. And as the show went on and he kind of moved on with his life and got a job at the photo studio and kind of evolved in a way that I did enjoy, I liked seeing him grow in that way. He seemed to like her less and less.
Yeah.
And that may be because the way she showed affection towards him was a very classically sort of immature way, like, I keep bringing you things and acting coy about stuff because I am a teenage girl and I don't know how to really communicate my feelings in a constructive manner. And I felt like as he was growing and seeing that there was a shot With Shinako, he was kind of becoming more annoyed at her sort of schoolgirl-esque displays of affection for him. But then in the end, when he's just like, I think I'm going to date her because she likes me.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like so much of the series, almost the entire thing was like, here's this, teenage girl who's doesn't really understand her feelings and is infatuated with this adult. And he is being an adult and keeping her at arm's length and being like, yeah, it's really flattering, but, I need to be mature and responsible about this, and I don't have any feelings for you like that. And then at the end, he's like, yeah, but what if?
Yeah, he's like, well, might as well give it a shot now. Yeah, and then Shinako, I just didn't really like at all for most of the series for the reasons I stated before, and I was like, you're just stringing this poor kid along.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And she knows it. I think at the very least, Rico, I didn't feel like he was deliberately doing it. Like, he kind of wanted her gone, but he didn't want to be rude about it, which is an understandable thing. Like, you don't, especially with how it feels a lot of, like, romance anime and maybe just Japanese romance entertainment goes, where nobody can just say what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand where he's coming from. Like, he wanted to be nice to her, but he didn't really want her around. Shinako's, like, deliberately hanging out with fucking Rue's family and cooking for him and doing all this stuff that would only engender those feelings from him, and then being like, nah. All the way up until the very end.
Yeah.
And it just fucking, no thanks.
Yeah, like, I would have problems with the turns at the end no matter what, but the fact that they spent the entire series being like, this would be a bad decision to make, and this obviously isn't going to happen. And then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, but let's do it.
Also, I fucking laughed out loud when Shinako had like a mini breakdown because Rue's arm looks like Dead Guy's arm.
Yeah, that was
I
kind
was
of weird.
like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And she had to leave because she was like, your arm, it looks like his arm. I was like, they're brothers! And they're both slender. Their arms, and people's arms don't look drastically different.
Unless
So
one of them
that
was a
part-
Baki character.
Yeah, unless maybe Rue's a Baki character and his brother was like a Clamp character.
Now that would be
Maybe
a show.
That would be, I would watch that shit. But yeah, I just didn't like the ending. Yeah, I feel like it kind of walked back everything that they were going for.
Yeah.
Is it cool to bring DJ back in?
Sure.
Okay. Now that I said my piece. Are we gonna get the shorts? Or are they just gone now?
I assumed that we're getting them, and it was just they were listed somewhere where people thought they were part of the series, and so they misidentified them as, 18 episodes. But
Okay, because I know we don't have the shorts now, but I can't find anywhere saying that we are or are not getting them.
they're probably going to be like on the Blu-rays or something, and like maybe Crunchyroll will get them down the line.
Well, maybe that'll help.
I mean, if they're just shorts, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence. Again, I'm kind of done with it now. Like, the fact that they made those decisions in the final episode at all and they rushed it so much just kind of soured me on the whole thing. But DJ, I hope that after you watch that episode, you listen to this section of our episode that you were muted for.
Yeah, I'll come back and see or hear.
See what your thoughts are compared to ours.
Yeah, no, I'm scared. I hate when, like...
DJ, is there
I hate...
is there a relationship that you want to happen?
I mean, I'd honestly be fine with either of them. I feel like a Haru ending would be weird, and I don't know.
You mean that Haru dates Rikuo?
Yeah.
That's what you mean? So I don't know the terminology when it comes to shit like that.
It's fine. No, yeah, I think an ending where those two wind up together wouldn't make sense. But I don't want to say any more.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Right. And you only have to watch episode 12, right?
I believe
like...
so. It's not. It wouldn't be more than 2 episodes. I can't remember when the show ended. Like, what day did that air?
Saturday. This past
Saturday. I think just 1 then.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'd probably be in between you guys' grades if I had to give it one. So I'd probably put it like a B minus, B, somewhere in there.
We'll see if I
'Cause
drop
I
down to
also,
the B
like
range.
DJ said, I do like melodramas, and I wish we had more kind of this style where
Yeah.
it was realistic and easily relatable characters.
I was
Like
definitely
I related
hopeful.
to Rikuo, especially in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Same.
for sure. So it'd be nice to have more of those, like less melodramas about people who are like already really successful
Yeah.
and things, and maybe more melodramas about people who are just kind of trying to live their lives.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to like the show a lot because I related to Rikuo and even Shinako in some ways at the beginning.
Right. So, say let's move on. Do you guys want to talk about Kaguya-sama? Which
I always do.
I do need to watch as well.
Definitely
That was
do.
Another one.
You would
So
like
if-
this show
if-
a lot,
If
Kane.
summer, if summer's going to be another kind of like rinky-dink season, then I'll probably pick up Kaguya. Now, is this over now, or that's just the second season?
Just the second season. The manga's still going.
I don't think the last
Oh,
episode
nice.
of Kaguya-sama came out, though, right?
No,
Yeah.
Correct. There's
Cool.
still one more.
Nice. Yeah, so we touched on it before, but episode 11 is, at least in my opinion, the highest point of the show so far. And
Yeah,
it's
which I think
crazy.
has happened several times over the course of this season. Like, oh, that was the best episode of the series. Oh, that one was
I don't
cool.
think up until now there was another episode that topped either it was the penultimate episode or the last episode of the first season when things like started to like actually show some emotional weight to them. But now they're like, it's fucking Ishigami's story showed a lot of fucking emotional weight. It was like 6 tons of
Yeah.
it. And for it to come in the form of his character rather than either of the two leads was super surprising to just see that much poured into a side character. It's if you can even call him a side character at this point, because there are basically 4 main characters now, is how I look at it.
Yeah, and so I'm reviewing the show. I reviewed the first one as well. And I talked about this a lot in this last episode where, there have been 4 main characters for most of the series, but Chika and Ishigami are rarely treated as like legitimately fleshed out human beings. They're usually used for gags, and they're great at that. But the development that we've gotten from the 2 main characters and even Miko in like her second or third episode of the series, that was the first like huge 6-ton emotional weight episode. Ishigami and Chika just haven't gotten anything like that. So yeah, it was incredibly rewarding to see it built up over the past couple episodes, and then just episode 11 just dedicate its entire run to just growing Ishigami, exploring him, developing him as a believable human being and incredibly sympathetic despite, all the kind of butt of the joke that he's been for so long. And, he's the easily, like, you don't hate him as a viewer, but he's the hated person in the story, and he's funny for that. But to have a serious story where it shows you just how sympathetic he is and how wrong really all of that is, and examining it is incredible.
It was,
and to do that for the second to last episode, like, how are they going to end it now? Because that was like such a huge moment, and it was all about this
so good
character.
That was like chill inducing. The fucking and it was so well directed too, because ever since you get introduced to the cheerleading club, and like right off the bat it's like a silent voice, like you can't see their faces or any shit, and then it all like fucking floods in. Oh man, it was so good.
And then in his episode he stops seeing Kaguya and Miyuki's faces, and then at the very end, it's so good.
Oh my god, I loved it. It was such a good episode.
Yeah,
I hope that Chika's story is also intense. Well, I don't know if intense is the right word, but I hope that she gets the amount of love that they showed to Ishigami and Miko in this season.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine with her because she's just like so out there. But I do at least appreciate, the moments we get every now and then where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Chika's like incredibly good at a lot of things, and she can be, you know, a very mature, level-headed teacher when she's not, you know, this hilarious gag character. So I like that and, you know, Miko's whole relationship with her is like, yeah, there's a lot to respect about Chika. She's not just a gag. But yeah, I really appreciate what they did with Ishigami. I felt like he's definitely a character more suited to that kind of story than Chika, but given the fact that, you know, it's been like, oh, gross, Ishigami, such a loser, and that's worked as a comedic element so well, seeing them, you know, take that under
it almost like dehumanized him
and be like, yeah, exactly. They were like, but let's see, if that's how people really thought about him and you're supposed to like him, let's look at him as a real character and see what the real story is. And yeah, it was an incredible journey. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that blows me away so much about this series is that it's so good at being the most hilarious anime in the past few seasons, but then it can just turn around and be the most poignant and most dramatic and most emotionally affecting.
It's
so
that like
balancing them.
The tonal shift that not many people can pull off on this level. Like the only other things that I can think of even getting close to this are the key shows where it's just super slice of life and comedy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, no, like underneath all of that there is the real story. And I never expected in a million years this show to be able to do that when I first watched it.
Yeah, agreed. Like when I first started the first season, like I had heard really good things about the manga, and I think that's why I signed up to review it. And from the beginning, it was like, this is a fun show. But it never seemed like it could be some, you know, masterpiece. But I definitely get it now.
Yeah, this is a great. For the quote unquote side characters, though, they have definitely stolen season 2. It's like they're basically all main characters. Even Hayasaka got like one of the best episodes this season.
That was really great. And yeah, like I said, you know, Miko was introduced, and then within like a few fractions of an episode, suddenly there was an episode entirely dedicated to her, incredibly emotional. And, you know, she has just suddenly, like, to be able to do that with a character that has had so few minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
And
you already feel for her, like, after, like, getting to know her in one episode. It's crazy. She's vying for my heart. She's got best girl potential. But I feel like whoever is talking in that show at the moment is best girl. So
yeah, every character in that show is really great. And you know, I agree that the side characters have definitely stolen the show, because like we got the Miko episode, we got the Ishigami episode, whereas in the first season we really just got the Kaguya and Shirogane stuff at the end. But I really love a lot of the Kaguya material in this season as well.
Oh my god, she's adorable.
And like, is it Aoi Koga? I think that's her name. Her Seiyu, she is so phenomenal in the range she has to go through.
It's insane. It's like one of the best performances I've heard in a long time.
Yeah. And the like the subtle development and character growth of the characters throughout like the more comedic moments is another thing I really appreciate, because like seeing how open Kaguya is now compared to how she was at the beginning of the series, it just shows that they're really just growing this entire time, that even though it's like short little comedic vignettes, it's really developing their characters consistently and their relationships together. And now she's like, now the norm is like super silly, blushing over the top Kaguya.
Yeah.
You could never expect that from the beginning of the series.
The whole like consistent development thing that you just mentioned, it's so intense that they're able to carry over so many of the smaller things that are introduced in earlier parts of the series. Like anytime it shows Miyuki with the fucking fan now, it's just like, oh, flashbacks. And anytime like Kaguya touches her face, it's like, I know why she does this. And it gives reason to every single thing that's happening. And there aren't a lot of shows that have or pay that much attention to detail.
Especially like vignette-based gag comedies. Like it seems like every little bit of this can be super standalone, but it's always building on itself.
Yep. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it is really good. And yeah, I'm definitely curious to see, you know, how they try to top that last episode and just one more, because the first season at least had a few episodes building up to its climax, whereas this one, the last few episodes all kind of built up to Ishigami's story. They had subtle little hints to something bigger going on very soon, and then it kind of concluded. So I'm curious to see what they do for the finale.
I hope they have a dance. They can't just show the Chica dance in one episode in the early phases of season 1 and then just expect us to forget.
I mean, I did really appreciate what do they call it? Pose, the Vogue dance.
Yeah,
that Kaguya does.
That was, oh man, that was a good dance, but
yeah, it's not Chica.
No. Oh, I forgot about that moment until right now. That was very good.
That episode had a lot of like pop culture references you wouldn't expect in anime.
It's such a good show. There's nothing like Kaguya-sama. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. I think there's only one more show that at least us,
One more.
or you and I have in common. I don't know what anybody else watched because no one else posted their lists.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just watching. I watched the 2 things that I watched.
We covered all the ones that I watched. So
Same.
Let me get my shit out of the way real quick. All right, Arte. That was the thing that happened. The entire series.
Yeah.
The entire.
That's my favorite start to any review.
Series.
It's like, this is a thing.
They went to great lengths to try to kind of subvert the usual message that comes in shoujo and shonen stories, which is like, your tenacity will do this. This injustice is wrong. You should point this out. Things will work out for you. Instead, at every turn, it was people going, no, you should really take this job because you should take this job. Or like telling her like she was like overworking herself and passing out. And they kept telling her not to do this shit, and she keeps doing it anyway, all through the entire series. I don't know, there's something really weird about historical things set in historical locations which have nothing to do with Japan, and then the characters are standing there bowing. That really rubs me the wrong way. And doing like incredibly Japanese like gestures, and it's Florence in the 1500s. In Italy, but yeah, and then in the last episode they did a complete 180, and it was like, yeah, she totally did the shoujo thing where she's like, my tenacity is going to get me the way I get me what I want, and it does, and everybody's like, congratulations.
I'm glad you said Florence in Italy, because I just assumed you were talking about Florence in Japan.
Well, there's a Florence, Massachusetts. There are Florences in other places. It's just not.
Well, now I want an anime in Florence, Massachusetts.
There's nothing there. It's farms.
Is it even a real place?
It is a real place. I have relatives that live there, but it's like farms.
Does that entail that it's real, though?
It might not be. I mean, it is very close to a location that is known for having a lot of lesbians. That should make,
DJ happy.
Yeah, I perked up.
DJ happy, and that's about it. I don't know. It was a nice little slice of life kind of show set in a historic location. It was funny. Every time I thought that series was bullshitting something like historic, I would rush to Wikipedia. Right, start writing a tirade, rush to Wikipedia only to find out it was true. Like, at one point they're playing what appeared to be rugby in, like, the square of the churchyard. But there is some incredibly brutal early version of football that they used to play in Florence that is, like, a really brutal version of rugby, and they still play it there. And popes used to even play it. So there's one part in an episode where one of the priests comes out of the church and like totally puts a guy in a headlock. And I'm like, well, this can't, and that could have totally happened. So a bunch of stuff in it, like, yeah, so then you'd have something that would be weirdly historically accurate like that, and yet she's sitting there bowing and, I don't know. I wish it had more art in the show about an artist. Like, I wish they had gone over technique a little bit more. They spent an inordinate amount of time hammering home the point that Arte is a woman and a noble woman trying to become an artist in Renaissance Italy, and how that should not be possible. But even though she's kind of takes her name from a historical figure, who, if they had actually made an anime that was based on that historical figure's life, it probably would have been way more interesting. Because she's, like, notorious for having been raped and taking her rapist to court and winning against him back in Renaissance Italy. So that would have been way more interesting than this kind of sanitized shoujo-esque but ran in a seinen magazine story. But I don't know, just kind of there. The other thing I watched this season was Listeners.
Oh, you finished that?
And boy, that was a thing. For a while in the middle of Listeners, it got really good. Like, the show only really shit the bed in the last 20 minutes by kind of never really coming to a conclusion about its setting or how any of that shit worked or why. And then proceeding to undo a lot of the dramatic moments by essentially saying a bunch of characters that should have been dead weren't. And usually I'm not for, like, randomly killing off characters for dramatic effect. But when it actually works and then they renege on it, it's a little hollow at the end of everything.
Yeah, I hate that.
The other problem is that show would have been 100% better if they could have actually put some licensed music into it. Like, if they had tied it in with, like, the licensed music that they were constantly referencing in every way, shape, and form, it would have been so much better. Like, so much better. And it would have connected better. It would have had more emotional resonance. So, I don't know. I mean, in the end, it just kind of felt like the ending wasn't earned.
Did they eventually have music in it at all?
I mean, there was music, but it was like whatever band they had contracted to for, like, it was another one of those series where every ending and episode of every episode was a different song.
Mm.
So, like, and that music was fine, but it was all by the same group, and it all, like, and there was, like, one through fair, like, song that ran through the entire show. Like, you always had that one theme piece of music that is like, this comes up at all very dramatic moment. But there was a part in that series where I thought it was really going to come together, and they had reached some pretty emotional, high points, and they had a really cool episode where the lead boy, like, kind of like is, rallies and finds his way back to try to, like, reunite with the girl, and everything was great up until, like, kind of the last 20-minute epilogue, where it was just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, like, I guess, and they would have, like, exposition drops where they try to explain the thing and it still made no fucking sense.
I love exposition that doesn't actually exposit.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like, this is the explanation. It's like, okay. But then there's still, like, 100 million things in that series that made no sense. Like, they'd be like, this is this because of this. And you'd be like, wait, but that doesn't make any sense. But they'd just move on. And, nothing was ever really explained. So, it's a show with a lot of mechs. And talks about mech battles, and there aren't any actual mech battles.
Ooh, so it's just like reminiscing about mech battles.
I mean, no, it's not even that. It's just like they would show up. There might, CGI robots would show up. They might make a few contact body blows, and then, like, that's kind of it. And then lasers.
Riveting.
And although there was one shot in the ending that had me dying laughing because they do what's that missile thing called? All the missiles?
Missiles?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I was going to say missiles?
Like, what's his name?
The
Circus?
Yeah, Kiddo Circus. They do that, except for it's like, It's
Itano
2.5
Circus,
millimeter jacks.
Yeah, Itano.
Yeah, it's like audio jacks that are shooting out on wires and all kind of doing that, which is kind of funny, and that made me laugh a lot. At like the pivotal like climactic scene, but I mean the animation for the series isn't bad. It's not great, but yeah, it definitely felt like there were too many cooks and not enough like consolidation of like whatever they actually wanted to get across. And obviously not the budget, and nowhere in the universe was there a budget to license the music they probably would have thrown into this show. It'd be fun to watch a fan cut of this show where somebody went back in and edited it in music appropriate to the groups and characters showing up.
Bet there's some sweet AMVs.
I mean, that would have been fun. There's some funny references. There was a really, really strange Pixies reference thrown into one of the episodes. I don't know. And there's also the logistics of having a character kind of based on Kurt Cobain who has their mech jack in their head. Yeah. There's a lot to... Yeah. There are some questionable choices, like having your main hero named after Jimi Hendrix, but having them basically be an albino instead of a black dude. I don't know.
Interesting
some
choice.
questionable handling of dead musical figures in this series. And, yeah. But, I mean, otherwise likable. Like, the Kurt Cobain-esque pastiche character is actually a pretty cool character. It would have been way cooler if the whole show had been built off of her. Like, they had two characters that are based off of, like, the Sex Pistols guys, and, they were way cooler than, you know, that murderer Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten actually are. So
Well, they weren't
I mean,
good
you know,
people.
It's like
So-
no. So they took these kind of. They had a character that was very much just Prince, and he was still a cool character. So that was cool, but yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of questionable creative decisions made in the series. Unfortunate lack of licensed music. Also, kind of funny that you could tell it's just what Daisato is like in that musician's pet project, because, like, I mean, cool, I'm a 39-year-old woman, I love rock music, I understood all these references, but rock's kind of been dead for, like, 15 years, so it definitely feels like, you definitely just made the series just for yourselves and didn't really take into account audiences. I don't know, maybe rock's alive in Japan, I haven't checked.
Passion project. Who knows?
But, yeah. Listeners, unfortunate. I don't think it's as bad as some people were making it out to be. People were like, this show is a waste of time. I'm like, oh, it's not a waste of time. It's just not as good as it could have been if they had licensed music and maybe a more cohesive narrative. It's fun. But that's it. It's just fun.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of other shows that you could definitely consider a waste of time, but your description didn't make it seem like it was awful. So
It was a lot of like, oh, we're gonna reference, okay, spot all the references, okay. And then, but yeah, the stuff leading up to the final episodes did come together in a really, like, kind of interesting and that way, and I was getting into it, and then they kind of undid a bunch of that in the last 20-minute epilogue, so. How not to stick the landing? Oh, shows, man.
All right. Well, I think there's only like one or two more things. I don't think we really have to talk about Fruits Basket since it's still in like the middle.
Sure.
But we could talk about Kakushigoto, which is our number 3. We agreed on this one at number 3. We both gave it a B.
Hey, consistency.
Yeah, hooray. Yeah, I liked this. It felt odd. I don't think I've ever really watched another show that like it's weird to describe. It's like super minimalist and super quirky, but like it has really brief moments where it's just like unusually poignant for like 30 to 40 seconds. And yeah, and so it takes a dramatic turn once it gets to like the last episode. And I still don't I still have not properly formulated my opinions on the ending of this show. It felt fitting. I don't think it definitely wasn't what I was expecting, because they kind of just like throw 8 million things at you off the bat, and I feel like they kind of didn't need to throw some of those things in. They're probably more important in the manga. But I mean, the message it got across was what I wanted, and it was happier than I had imagined it would be. So that part made me feel good. But overall, I think it was super enjoyable.
Skyler, are you going to duck out?
Yeah.
Skyler's got to run.
And
so
dinner's
quick,
ready.
plug anything you want, Skyler, before you run out the door. Where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at VideoGameP3. Find my other writing on a pieceofanime.com. And Crunchyroll and Fandom Post, obviously. That's about it.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your
Later.
dinner.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah,
All right.
it was interesting because, like, we were talking about other shows that switch between comedy and drama, but this one was like comedy all the time, and then the last minute of every episode was like, oh, but you fucking wait, dude, it's gonna get dramatic later on, and then in the final episode it finally does, which I felt like, they kind of strung us along for a little too long without really giving us anything solid.
Yeah, they didn't give us literally anything until episode 10, where they like started hinting at something that happened. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I imagine something completely different, which is probably plausible for me to believe. And I'm glad it didn't turn out that way.
Intention. Yeah, I think that was definitely the intention to make you think that until the very end. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. My thoughts at the beginning of the series were like, obviously this has some more dramatic story to tell, but it's just kind of, spending most of its time in silly little gag comedy, which is fine. But yeah, I didn't expect it to literally take the entire series to get to that point. And, the ending was good enough that it bumped it up quite a bit. It was a great final episode. It's just was only the one episode.
Yeah, it was very fitting for what the show was. It's a completely ridiculous scenario that would not work in most other things, but despite how cliche it is, and I like how they point out the clichéness in the form of Tomaroin, but I mean, it worked. It worked, and it got to where I wanted it to go, and I got an ending that I can be happy with, even if it also brought up a couple things where I'm like, wait, what? Like the whole extra family thing?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
And like this is probably something that you're cool with, but like also incest, by the way.
Yeah, which is also strange. And that's just like, they just like mention it. And they leave it at that. It's like, oh, wait, what? Did I read that correctly? Yeah, so there were a couple things like that they just threw in there at you, like in just one conversation with a guy who just shows up out of nowhere. And that's when I was like starting to question the legitimacy of the ending. But that was just one scene of a much bigger final episode that felt a lot longer than it actually was. I feel like they accomplished a lot in that in a little amount of time. But
it was a very packed episode.
Yeah. It did one of my favorite things, where it's really emotional running. That's one of my favorite tropes in anime. So I got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a very eventful last episode. I feel like they could have, spread that out a little more than just one episode. Yeah. And yeah, there were some moments at the beginning where I was like, really? But they managed to make the rest of it work so well that I kind of forgave it, and it all worked out.
All right. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about from this season? Or do we just want to put spring behind us and move on to the future of anime.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything big to say about Fruits Basket right now, then we can wait until the end of the next season.
I wouldn't say anything big. I like how the one side girl got an episode in the very beginning of the series. That made me happy. And Uo got another episode, and that also made me happy. I like side characters.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, I'll probably just hold off on Fruits Basket stuff until we're closer to the end of Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we should hold off talking about any summer anime stuff until maybe it actually happens or starts to happen.
Yeah, see if it actually happens.
Do we know whenever it's supposed to start happening?
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, stuff
Okay.
always starts at the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what day it is anymore. So
Thursday, the 25th.
See, I'm glad you know.
Well, yeah, it's
because,
not like
yeah.
there isn't a calendar built into my computer.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, what year is it, man?
Okay, are we doing recommendations? Because I have one.
Sure.
Cool. Okay,
Yes.
so my recommendation, it's a visual novel again. And I am going to recommend Summer Pockets to people that are interested in Key and sad things and happy things. It's all of those because it's Key. And it's a very good game. It's not on sale. Actually, it is on sale for 20% off on Steam right now. So you can get it for $36. It's probably around 50-ish hours once all the routes are done. I haven't finished any of the routes, but I just started one of the character ones. And we're getting to cooler parts. And it's good. It's more Jun Maeda stuff.
Was that a very deliberate Clannad reference?
Which one?
The fun thing, sad thing.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yes. I like it a lot. I think I haven't done because like the way Key games work, it's normally you have to play all of the character routes to get to the true route. And so I can't speak to whether it would make a good anime right now or not, but at least the premise is enough for me to think that it might work out if in the right hands.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
There's also a really fun ping pong mini game because you wouldn't have a Key visual novel without cool mini games.
Yeah, speaking of that, this isn't a recommendation really, but I finished all of Muv-Luv after like 20 years.
I still haven't started it, but I'm proud of you. You mentioned that the character routes are more linear than you expected. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Alternative doesn't even have character routes.
Mm-hmm. It's just like the shit hits the fan route, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just one story, and like there are a few tiny branches where you'll have a different conversation with a different character.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that is nearing the top of my list. I think I'm going to go on a Key marathon and just play all the Key games back to back. But
God, visual novels take so fucking long.
yeah, so in about 4 years, when I'm done with this, I'll be able to start Muv-Luv. I might have more time to read these soon, though, so that's cool.
All right, my recommendations. I've got a couple Aniplex releases on their way to me. Those include the first limited edition release of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. So that's the first 13 episodes of that, and the Funimation Standard Edition has been solicited now, so I think it was up for pre-order on Right Stuff, and then they took it down, so maybe Aniplex just wants to get their limited edition out for a little longer before people can order that. But anyway, that show is great. Favorite anime of last year, and of the last few years, really. So check that out. If you're like me, get the limited edition, looks great. And if you just want to own the show, then the Funimation one will be affordable. And then the other Aniplex Blu-ray I have on its way to me is Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl.
Woo!
Actually, no way. Yeah, I just got that. That's right, I got that yesterday.
Woo!
Which is a great movie. I saw it when Funimation had it streaming for a weekend a few months back, I think. And yeah, it made me immediately need to buy the series as well as the movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it really completes the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Such a good
And
movie.
it reminds me a lot of that Haruhi movie that you still need to watch.
I fucking will, okay? I'm gonna rewatch Haru. Maybe I'll... Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna rewatch Haruhi while I'm working, because I know everything that happens already, and I want to refresh myself, and then I'll watch the movie. But I have to figure out how to get the movie. Because it's not streaming on anything, is it?
Probably not.
F. Okay, yeah, but I love Haruhi in general, so maybe I'll watch the best part of it.
Yeah, seriously. After over 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my recommendations.
I was looking through the list of things that are being released soon, and I don't really know if there's anything that I could honestly recommend except the Blu-ray for Demon City Shinjuku from Discotek, which is a classic 90s like ultra-violent OVA thing, which was very indicative of that time in anime. So it's one of those things that I recommend to people in general, as in, like, you may not like it, but it kind of wraps up almost the entirety of what an era of anime was like. Like one of those sort of landmark sort of things, like Demon City Shinjuku. So that comes out on the 28th of July, so like a month from now, so plenty of time. But a lot of the stuff I would recommend based off of what's being released are just like reprints. Like the Pat Labor Collector's Edition reprint is coming out in July as well. So if you didn't have a chance to jump on that when it was still around, it's definitely worth it because it gets you everything for a pretty good price. I think at MSRP it's like $99, something like that. So you get a cool box.
Man, who are you? The Kane I know would never say $100 is a reasonable price.
I'm also very outside the box because everybody else I know seems to just fucking spend shit tons of money on anime and stuff. If they're buying it, they're buying it for like insane prices. But yeah, I wouldn't buy it at $100. But then again, yeah, I typically don't buy stuff until it's like $20 or less in general. But I can vouch at least for the quality of the stuff inside of the box, I guess is more of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's what's inside the box
So-
that counts.
Indeed. And the box is pretty cool
Yeah,
as well. It's not just like a big plain box that they shoved a bunch of thin pack Blu-rays into.
I think that might be what the reprint is.
Oh, is that what the reprint is? It does say repackaged, but I thought maybe just more of the same package. Because it says special edition.
Yeah, I think it's all the same stuff, but it's just like a slipcase now instead of like the kind of unique box. I can't remember exactly. But the
Well, if that's true, that's a little lame, but still you get all of Pat Labor for like $100, and it'll inevitably drop to like 50 because I don't know many people who are really buying it.
yeah, the original special edition, the MSRP for that was $100, I believe, and I got it for $25.
Yep. So that'll inevitably happen again. So a good time to wait for it. But yeah, that's about it. So some two older things. And then I guess doesn't Run with the Wind, the limited edition comes out in a few days.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
So go out and buy that if you still can. I don't know if you can still get that one or not.
Yeah, those Sentai limited editions don't sell out unless they're super popular shows, and this is not.
Yeah,
It should be. It's a good show.
That's so two old things and a new thing, and the new thing also comes with a sweet bookmark,
Oh, sorry, the original Pat
which
Labor.
totally justifies the $130.
The original Pat Labor special edition was MSRP $130, and I got it for $25.
Damn.
Yeah, the only reason I don't have it is I bought all the Blu-rays previously that I wanted.
Yeah, me too.
And it was the Blu-rays of Pat Labor, and it was like they were like $4 a piece.
Jeez. Yeah, I think I got all the originals like at basically full price as they came out, but then I just gave them to Darius or something because this one was. Yeah, I had been eyeing it, but I was like, I'm not going to spend any significant amount of money. I already own it all, but then it was $25.
Yeah, I think I owned all of what was in the box up to that point, except like the new files, so like the newest thing, and the I don't know if it's in the box, but the third movie, which really isn't very good.
Yeah, you can ignore the third movie. The rest is good though.
Yeah, so I have the two movies and then the original series, the original OVA series, which was good enough for me. But yeah,
well,
it's a good box set just in general.
If you only have the original OVA series, then you're missing like the 52 episode TV series.
Actually, I may have that too. I'll have to look. It's been a while. I definitely know I'm missing the new files and the new movie, the new quote unquote movie.
The new movie.
But I'll have to check to see if I'm missing the original. I may have that original show too.
The new
yeah,
movie is
like
what, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's why I used air quotes around new,
Yeah.
but the newest, I guess. Kate, do you have anything to recommend?
I do not. I just looked through everything and the final volume of Umaneko's manga came out.
I just got to
Finally.
notice that a volume that I had on order is no longer available.
You will not be able to get earlier volumes of that series because they are hell out of
I
print.
got the first 3 fairly recently.
Well, they always, it's that
it's always
whole,
volume
like,
4.
we print a bunch of printed everything up front, and then the middle volumes you'll never
Volume
find.
4 is $100
So.
on eBay.
Jesus Christ.
Ugh, God.
I didn't actually look it up.
Oh.
It's just volume 4 of
I
every
believed
out-of-print
you.
manga. Every out-of-print manga, volume 4 is $100 on eBay.
Fucking volume 4s, man.
I mean, to be fair, a single volume of the Umaneko omnibuses are like $30
Yeah,
in general.
Very big books.
So they are 3 volumes of manga squished into one very large book. So, yeah, the definitive ending of the Umaneko story is in the volume that was just released.
I mean, I think the definitive ending is probably in the visual novel.
No, because I looked it up, and apparently there was a bunch of stuff that looked it up in the author's note. Apparently, there's a bunch of stuff in the manga which wasn't explicitly stated or was not included in the visual novels or the extra stuff or the sound dramas or anything. So they kind of wrapped, clarified everything much more succinctly in the manga. Added extra chapters, flushed out some stuff, I guess, that they didn't bother
the
in
end's
visual
not
novels. So,
over yet.
well, yeah, there's also
Are they still
that,
making
but
more of those?
Well, it's
yeah.
Umaneko it takes place like in the same thing as Chikonia no Nakokoro ni, and that is going still.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to check that out since it's half of the top 4 visual novels on VNDB.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus Christ, they
half
take so
of them.
long.
Yeah, they are quite long.
At least Steins Gate was short.
Yeah, it's probably only like 30-ish, I think.
Yeah, it was a little under 30. I played it twice.
So, I don't know. That's about it. That's all I got anyway. Kestrel, where can you find us?
You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, all the podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Alexa, Spotify, iHeartRadio, fandompost.com, Twitter, Facebook. Follow us. Share our stuff. Get in contact with us. Also on email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. I think that's it. You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma. I don't post anything ever.
DJ?
You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style, and you can find my game on Patreon.com/LessonsInLove. It's good.
Kane is exclusive to here, I think, still.
Yep.
I'm on Twitter at SonicBug. You can follow me for mostly ranting about inconsequential things recently. I missed my last Friday update because I was not at my computer. I was at the lake, so I totally forgot to tweet things last Friday. I will not be doing that when this podcast goes out. So, I think that's it. Any parting
Yes.
words?
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Tune in next time for another episode of Fandom Post Radio.